I was a film makeup artist who discovered I wasn't making any money, I did not know how to market, and I wasn't spending any time with my daughter. I discovered the same problems when I created my indie feature film, and then I discovered marketing and having an online business gave me the freedom to spend time with my child and make lots of money. So I want to teach other makeup artists how they can create their own online course and market it using ClickFunnels so they can spend their time with their child too. I'm Miranda Wright. This is Creative Entrepreneur Radio. Let's bust through that glass ceiling. Remember Danielle Bregoli? She was the brat that was on Dr. Phil, threatening to punch up her own mother and the audience, saying, "Catch me outside, how about that?" The whole world thought she was a fool. Now she's going to blow up the makeup game and giving Kylie Jenner some competition, according to TMZ, because she's been given a deal from Copycat Beauty, who will pay her $900,000 to promote their beauty and makeup products. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if the world thinks you are a fool, because you can still be successful. People will buy your products. The new era is the era of self-education. We are all experts in something, teaching makeup or otherwise. And there are people that want to learn from you, but they can't find you. Are you sharing your superpowers with the world? A few hand-selected marketing rock stars around the world have been approved to team up with Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, and Russell Brunson to promote their biggest launch yet. They are about to revolutionize the learning space forever. If you want to level up and create a legacy and help people with your online course, I'm not going to tell you what this launch is, but what I will tell you is that I'm creating a webinar which will show you how to create your own online course, and I'll be revealing more about what Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, and Russell Brunson is doing, because I was selected to promote their launch. I'm only going to be showing the webinar to a select group of people in a Facebook group. If you want to be one of those people to get into the exclusive private Facebook group to see this webinar, then I suggest you comment, "Miranda, let me into the webinar," so that I know you are keen and I will enter you into the group. Does that make sense? I created a customer journey map for myself to track my own behavior as a consumer, so I could see what drives my purchases. A consumer journey maps documents the consumer experiences when a consumer interacts with a company or brand, and identifies present gaps and deeper insights about self-consumer behavior, personal goals and needs of the consumer, motivations. Was me in this instance was to get the right nutrients on a limited food budget and diet. I was given a diet recommended by a doctor. I was looking at the supermarket catalogue online to see what specials there are to prepare for what the limited food budget should be spent on. The Coles supermarket brand frozen mixed berries was seen in the catalogue for what is labelled as the everyday low price of $4. An influence was blueberries were the only fruits able to be eaten on a keto diet. A video was watched online where a doctor was suggesting that humans need to eat more blackberries and raspberries. So the frozen berries were the most cost-effective way to consume lots of raspberries and blackberries in Australia. At the Coles supermarket frozen food section, there were not many packets of frozen berries left in the freezer at the everyday low price of $4. If there were frozen berries in another brand that were marked down lower than $4, they would have been selected instead. So without much thought, the frozen Coles brand mixed berries were collected alone and taken straight to the self-serve checkout to be purchased. The insights gained from the customer journey map include what was learnt about myself as a consumer that I was not aware of before, which is that although my brand choices are not fixed, I had no emotionally magnetic attraction to the Coles brand apart from like and trust, but I would choose any brand's product that was cheaper in that desperate situation that I needed berry for my diet. I like to feel prepared by knowing what I should be spending my money on first when I have limited money. My perception is that I had a lot to lose by risking making a bad decision in the supermarket by not being prepared, and wanted to prevent that risk by making the purchase decision before entering the supermarket, feeling confident and mission focused. I had not felt any or post-purchase buy regret. I just enjoyed the product. But perhaps in the supermarket, I felt pre-purchase anticipation regret of the risk of missing out if I did not purchase the only inexpensive berries left in the freezer, called availability misperception. I trusted that the frozen berries' hygiene or health risks problems I've seen reported by the media in the past have been dealt with and rectified. After some reading, I am not certain that frozen berries are completely safe due to the global value train, and plan not to buy any more frozen berries. I pride myself on being an independent decision maker, but regarding health, I do value the opinions of others. I wrote this customer journey a little while ago, but I have bought the same berries since then. Okay? People are complex and they will buy anything, provided it is good. If they tasted bad, then obviously I wouldn't buy them. Imitating is what enabled the great apes to survive in a hostile environment despite significant physical shortcomings. This explains why doing what others do and listening to the recommendations of others could be considered instinctual. Brands must be liked or trusted. Consumers are uncertain about what they want and the product value to them, making purchase decisions susceptible to influence, which are misperceptions, biases, and other mind tricks. Assumptions and estimates related to purchase decision, high stake and risk creates a bigger psychological trap. Biases, theories working in isolation or together, amplifying each other, such as instant anchored feelings, confirming evidence, a hasty decision, and a new status quo. However, in price-quality trade-offs, the consumer can cope with increased potential for negative emotion associated with the quality attribute by choosing the option with the best value, regardless of limited funds. This gives you an idea of how the consumer mind works, okay? Perhaps you can do this exercise yourself and create your own consumer map to find out how your brain works when you go shopping. So then you can get into the mind of your consumer. Awareness is the best protection. If the mind distortions ingrained cannot be eradicated, tests and disciplines can be built in the decision-making process that can uncover errors in thinking before they become errors in judgment. Avoiding psychological traps increases confidence in choices. Customers will be powerfully, emotionally connected with a brand and be encouraged to be loyal when it aligns with their emotional motivations and deep unconscious desires, such as to have confidence and well-being. The consumer desires are different from what the consumers say are the reasons and descriptions of why they make brand choices and their emotional responses to brands. To acquire a missing sense of power, the powerless will not sit by passively but desire to spend. Psychological states of power affect consumption habits, such as consumer willingness to pay for products. Regret is different from post-choice valuation. There are distinct emotions beyond regret that stem from upward counterfactual thinking, such as disappointment, envy, anger, guilt, and shame, clarifying the distinction between conditions that influence regret, decision justifiability, and the intensity of regret, the size, salience, and importance of the discrepancy between actual and counterfactual outcomes and decision reversibility. Regret regulation theory concerns experience and consequences of regret, a decision that people are motivated to regulate to maximize outcomes in the short term and learn maximizing them long term. The decision to purchase Coles frozen berries was needs-based. as the other frozen berries and the fresh berries were too expensive, and the berries are needed for dietary or health reasons. But as the berries are the cheapest option, they could be later perceived as having the most risk. Consumers are more likely to choose an alternative that appears to be a compromise. The choices that consumers make influence their assessment. Shifting attention to one of two considered alternative enhances the perceived attractiveness and choice probability. What does this mean for you? Customers often do not know their wants and their choices may be influenced. More effort should be placed in gaining a better understanding of the influences on purchase decisions or consumer behavioral motives, and to use that knowledge for increasing revenues and profit. Knowing the internal and external workings of the consumer mind to add to deep customer insights and data analytics can build emotional connection. Real consumer emotional connection and clarity is a strategy to restore profitable growth and real competitive advantage. This information about consumers and consumption behavior can be used by shoppers and marketers. If behavioral motives such as regret and availability misperception are not intentionally leveraged with pricing power, business can potentially miss out on 7.7% increase of profit. Aligning emotional connection strategies with customer engagement objectives maximize results. A predictable emotional connection pathway transitions consumers from being unconnected to being fully connected. The highest returns come from customers who are fully connected. 3 times the return. There are more than 300 emotional motivators that customers may not even be aware of. So what I uncovered there was the context, what was the customer trying to do, and what are the motivations, goals, when, why, how, where it begins. The journey, stages, experiences. So what were the touch points along the way, critical incidences, interactions with the brand and product? I put little strawberries with faces on them to represent what my emotional status was. So my consumer insights, behaviors, outcomes were brand choices are not fixed. I had no emotional magnetic attraction to the Coles brand apart from like and trust, but I would choose any brand's product that was cheaper in that desperate situation. In the supermarket, I had pre-purchase anticipation, regret of the risk of missing out. The only inexpensive berries left in the freezer called availability misperception, and I didn't want to experience FOMO, which means fear of missing out. I had not felt any or post-purchase buy regret. I just enjoyed the product. I trusted that the frozen berries hygiene or health risk problems I have seen reported by the media in the past have been dealt with and rectified. After some reading, I'm not certain that frozen berries are completely safe due to the global value chain, and plan to not buy any more frozen berries. And I pride myself on being an independent decision maker, but regarding health, I do value the opinions of others. After that, I have bought them again. So an influence was the dietary recommendation of the doctors. So that's a good exercise to go through yourself. If you want to create a bit of a chart for the consumer journey map, that's how you can find out what your own behavior is like as a consumer, and that can help you get into the mind of a consumer. Then you can use that to your benefit with your own marketing and your own product. Okay, does that make sense? How that relates to Danielle Bregoli is that she has a market. There's going to be people that buy her products and that who are a fan. It doesn't matter if you don't have confidence, if you think you're a fool. There's going to be customers out there that want your product. They want to learn what you have to offer. So don't deny them of that and create your online course. And again, I have a webinar that's being shown in a Facebook group. I'm only selecting a few people to go into the group and watch the webinar, but you're going to be one of the first people to see it. You can give feedback on it so I can better it, and you can ask questions, and you've got direct contact with me. Plus, you're going to get first access to what's offered in the webinar. You're going to be learning something for free. Does that make sense? And I will also be releasing what Tony Robbins, Dan Graziosi and Russell Brunson are releasing with their launch. You're going to be one of the first people to find out about that because I was selected as a marketer to promote the product. We've been sworn to secrecy. We're not allowed to release to anyone what that is. Comment, Miranda, let me into the webinar if you would like access to that webinar in the Facebook group. Otherwise, you're going to experience FOMO, fear of missing out. So don't do that because it feels bad. Thank you for listening to me. I'm Miranda Wright. Bye for now.